Ready to light that fire by doing the things that make you come alive? Welcome to Health Raisers, a podcast for wise women. I'm your host, Dr. Nadine. I left a soul-crushing medical career full of bad news and evolved into a joyful health integration coach, helping hundreds of women find their healthy. You're more than your dress size. Stop putting up with toxic relationships, swallowing your true emotions, and sacrificing your mental health. Stop using your body as a battlefield. You're always giving. You deserve to put yourself first, not just for your sake, but for those you love. Wise women, let's make ourselves a priority right now. It's time to raise some health together. If you're ready to take the first step, visit npkhealthintegration.com and take the free questionnaire to assess where you are in your health journey right now. And if you're ready to take a bolder step into possibility with your health journey, email me at npk@npkhealthintegration.com to learn more about classes and coaching. Hello, ladies. Today, my guest is Alison Coates. Alison is a remarkable, beautiful storyteller, and I am so happy to have her on the podcast today to talk about a greater meaning of health. We're going to have this conversation based on the assertion that health is not the absence of disease. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you, Nadine. It's so good to be with you.
It is a pleasure to have you here. We're going to jump right into it because you and I have already started to have this deep conversation, and I want to go there with you. So I'm going to start with asking you, what does being a healthy woman in community mean to you?
Oh, what a great question. Yeah, there's so much in there around being a healthy woman and being in community. And I'm exploring what healthy means to me. That I have a chronic illness. I have ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, which I've had for a very long time. And I've had an up and down relationship with it and how it's impacted me. And I'm, really fascinated by community and what it means to me and its role for other people. That I've been, over the last few years, I have survived through online community, which has been just such a revelation and a comfort, and the deep connections that have happened by regular Zoom calls with people who I've never met, but I hope to meet one day. And then I've moved at the beginning of this year. I moved to a remote village in Scotland where I didn't know anybody, and I'm getting to know people and finding my way to be part of a real life community. Yeah, it just feels so important.
So let's break it down, since it is a big question. Let's isolate the health part. So what does being a healthy woman mean to you? Like in the past, present, and going forward into the future?
Yeah, well, I suppose in the past, being a healthy woman probably meant being a particular slim size, and probably wearing lycra at least 3 times a week to do probably step aerobics classes.
I remember those well.
Very particular, way of being healthy. And then I suppose sort of in the middle, it's like I don't even think I thought about my health or being a healthy woman. I was just lost in being a single mother. And dealing with all that entailed, and raising 2 boys. I was lost. And I remember it must be 5 or 6 years ago, somebody said to me, she said, "What does Alison want?" And I was completely thrown by her question. It's like I had no idea. It was such a shock that I didn't know what I wanted, and it felt like that was the culmination of 20 years of raising children and losing myself.
It sounds like survival. You were in survival mode? Does that sound right?
Yeah, it was survival.
And I'm sure it couldn't help. It could not have been helped by the fact that you were dealing with the chronic fatigue syndrome at the same time and not being taken seriously as you would have liked by physicians, at first at least.
Yeah, that made it really challenging because I was being told that there was nothing wrong with me, that I would present with symptoms and I would be sent for blood tests and the results would come back and they'd say, "You're fine. They're all normal." And I didn't feel fine. So it was then sort of added to the symptoms that I was having was then the confusion and the mental health issues that came out of not being believed and then not being able to trust myself. It's like, am I just making this up? What? And then pretending to myself that it wasn't a thing. It's like, well, if I'm being told that I'm fine, then I must be fine. I just need to push through, which doesn't work. And then I would, crash. But I still had to keep going because it was just me and my 2 sons.
How did you cope?
I'm not sure that I did, but I must have done because I'm still here. I got through. And I was thinking, one of the things, it's that community aspect was, being part of a community, that I'd moved to a new area and sent my boys to a Steiner school. And I have this habit of moving to places where I don't know anybody. So I didn't know anybody, but I knew that I wanted my children to go to this particular school. And what blew me away was the sense of community that came with that school, that it wasn't something I'd experienced before, but there was this feeling of connection and that I mattered. And it wasn't just about the children. It was like they recognized that the parents are rather important.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So there were things that happened, like parents' evening, that at their previous school, parents' evening meant you got a 10-minute slot to speak one-to-one with their teacher, who would try and tell you something nice. But then in this Steiner school, the parents' evenings were all of the parents of the children sitting in a circle with the teacher, and the teacher would talk about the class and what was happening in the class, and and it was just like, wow, this is community. This is us coming together to support the class as a whole. And it's not about competition and, oh, well, my little boy, he got top grades. It was like, no, the class are all in this together, and the parents are all in it together too. And it was just amazing. And then to have, my eldest he was a teenager by then, and in his secondary school, there was no contact with any parents. I had no idea who he was mixing with. And then suddenly I was in a room with the parents of his new friends. And it just, I think we had there were some awkward and interesting conversations as these teenagers explored things that teenagers explore. But it felt so healthy that we were able to talk about it and support them.
So it sounds like it was no accident then that you found community online, and it sounds like you took to it relatively easily because you had already been practicing and feeling the benefits of being in a community of people who really care and support one another, who are not in competition, as you said, but want to see the best in one another. So it sounds like you were looking for it, contributing to it, feeling a part of, not just taking, but also giving. Does that sound right?
Yeah. And I think this is the first time that I've ever connected the two, but it is, yes. So what I experienced at that school were, all of those things, which then, how interesting.
So I wonder, as you started our talk about being a parent and being a single parent, which, my goodness, I'm not a single parent, but I cannot imagine not having had my village, my husband, as well as my mom and dad who helped take care of my kids. I'd never had any babysitting. They always went to my parents, no matter what. So I really can't imagine not having done such a monumental job being a parent alone. So how have you been able to think about setting boundaries for yourself?
Yeah, I remember I didn't know what boundaries were when somebody first said, "You need some boundaries." What? What's that then? And I don't think when my boys were growing up that I was very good at setting boundaries, even once I discovered that they were such a thing. And it feels that it's only sort of more recently, in my 50s, as they've become adults, that I'm able to have more boundaries and be more aware of what I need and what I want. I suppose since that question that I was asked 5 or 6 years ago about what does Alison want, and being completely thrown, like, who? What? She could want something? Yeah, it feels like this continual letting go, being a parent, from the moment they're born. There's always some sort of letting go. And so the last few years have been about letting go of I don't know whether it's a need or a desire to make everything okay for them. And like I would do anything for my children. Like I am sure all mothers would. It's like it comes with the role. But it's at what point do I say no? So it still is a difficult thing to do, to navigate my needs over their needs. And we live over 400 miles apart. So all live very independent lives of each other, but we do talk on the phone every week.
And now, here's an ad from our sponsor. In the mood for coffee, tea, yummy pastries, or cool swag? My friends at Infused have got you covered. Infused Coffee Roasters is a cozy neighborhood coffee joint in Sawyer and St. Joseph, Michigan. Infused stands for a healthy community. They craft irresistible seasonal drinks, sourcing local artisans' products. The flavors shine from quality ingredients, and their beans are roasted on site. They do not hide behind tons of sugar. Every time I go, I'm greeted by my name with a smile. Bad service is just non-existent. It feels like stepping into a friend's living room. They keep it personal. Old school, eclectic coffee mugs on the wall, fun merch, including stickers designed by artists, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. It's the perfect place to get to know your neighbors and chat with tourists. You will always find people deep in conversation. Special events keep it fresh. Community, health, the heart of Sawyer. That's Infused. I hope to meet you there. So how do you look at your relationship with health now and going forward?
I think it's changing. I suppose my relationship with having chronic fatigue syndrome and health I was thinking when you were speaking earlier about health, and I was thinking, well, I don't feel I'm unhealthy, even though I have a chronic illness. I'm not unhealthy, and that's sort of like, really, is that possible? And I was thinking, there's so many things that I do to be healthy, so I feel I am as healthy as I can be, physically and emotionally, given that I have a chronic illness.
What are some of those ways? You said that you are a healthy person despite having a chronic illness. And so how are you manifesting your healthy practices in other areas of your life?
I pay a lot of attention to what I eat and make sure that I eat well and I eat food that serves me well. And I don't drink because I know that alcohol makes me feel worse. And sometimes it can feel even more isolating, because if I'm not, I eat very well. I don't eat gluten. I don't eat sugar. So if people say, "Oh, let's go out for a coffee and a cake," it then becomes a challenge.
That is a really good point. So then what modifications have you been able to use in order to still benefit from being social and going out with someone and knowing that you have to take care of your body because the chronic illness does require that you don't treat your body in specific ways?
Yeah, it's been about adapting to things that do work. So my go-to social activity is a walk with dogs and a good friend, and there's a particular walk nearby that is a level walk, because I know that if I walk uphill, I can do it, but it's not. I suffer afterwards for the sort of extra exertion needed. But a gentle stroll on a level walk, which goes to the most beautiful beach, and with a good friend and just chatting, it's my tonic, and I miss it if I don't get it. And I've been sort of nurturing new friendships here, and it takes time to get to know people and to know who I want to spend time with, and the ones who don't drain my energy, because it's sort of becoming really discerning about who I want to spend time with and who I'm able to spend time with, because some people I just can't, and others, like, yeah, I want to be in your company, and then being able to get to a point of feeling enough trust with somebody that I can be honest about having a chronic condition without feeling shame, because that's been a huge issue over the years, feeling ashamed and not being able to speak about it. But I'm realizing here in it's the smallest community I've ever lived in. And it's true, everybody knows each other, and it's sort of, I'm gradually discovering all the interconnections, and also realizing that I can just remain isolated, or I can step into the community. And so I've been volunteering in the little charity shop in the village, and it's just been amazing. I just do a 90-minute shift once a week, and there's such a variety of people who come into the shop, whether they're locals or visitors or holiday homeowners who are here sort of every now and then. And it just boosts. It gives me such a boost to be doing something of service and having that connection with people, and then seeing people in other places like, oh, yeah, I recognise you. You came into the shop, or yeah. And also the other thing that I've been doing, which has been a big step, is there's a Scottish country dancing class once a week.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I was invited to when somebody realised that I was actually a permanent resident and not a transient. holidaymaker or second homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you must come to country dancing when it starts again in September. And I was thinking, well, I don't think I can do that. But I was like, well, no, this is being part of the community. So the first time I went, I was like, right, I'm just going to go and I will dance for 2 hours. And then I was quite broken for quite a while afterwards. But it was such a lovely group of people and they were so welcoming and my face ached from laughing so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next week I went back and I spoke to the teacher and explained that I have chronic fatigue syndrome and I really want to be here, but I can't do it all. And she was just so understanding. And she said, no, just sit out whenever you need to sit out. And she even suggested that I sat out because I was like, okay, I've done that. I've asked and I've explained, but I'm not actually going to sit out because then I'd be drawing attention to myself or something. But she said, oh, Alison, do you want to sit out now? I was like, yes, thank you. So now when I am able to go, I still haven't been able to go every week, but I can go and I've got comfortable with being, with sitting out, that I can do that, which is something I've never done before. I've been to exercise classes where the teachers have been really understanding and they've said, sit out if you can't manage it. But there's part that's like, well, I can manage it. I'm not giving in and then not wanting to be there. But this just feels so important that I want to be a part of it. And it's even like, even if I just go and sit and watch, I'm willing to do that.
Well, for someone who said, I don't know what Alison wants and what are boundaries, it sure sounds like you have learned to set those boundaries and ask for what you want and to let go of what's not necessary, like carrying that shame or feeling like I must persist and go hard. If not, then I won't be accepted by this group of people and I really want to be here. So I just find that to be a lovely, profound share and amongst everything else you've shared today. So I'm going to ask you this final question. As a woman with wisdom and compassion and grace, if you were to ask the other wise women who are in this virtual living room with us about her health, about her journey with health, what would that question be?
When did you realize that you mattered?
Mic drop. Thank you. Thank you, Alison. This has been a gift. Thank you for being here. I learned a lot from you and I had a marvelous time connecting.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been so good to talk about this. Thank you.
Wise women, stop using your body as a battlefield. Move from last place to first place in your life. Let's raise health together. Take the first step and visit npkhealthintegration.com for a free health questionnaire. Ready for more? Email me at npk@npkhealthintegration.com to learn more about classes and coaching. And let's start a conversation. Thanks for listening and taking this time for yourself. See you next time.